Welcome into PFF HQ. Austin Gayle here with senior analyst Sam Monson talking Cleveland Browns. We know we like Baker Mayfield. We were high on him entering the draft. We know he's going to do big things in year two. Let's talk his receiving weapons, starting with OBJ. You have Jarvis Landry. Those two are reuniting. And then they also have a guy you really like, Rashard Higgins, Hollywood out of Colorado State.
Yeah, not just the wide receiver core, but if you look at the weapons all around this offense, there is a lot for Baker Mayfield to work with now. And that's kind of the perfect way of this whole rebuilding project that Cleveland had. Once they found the quarterback, once they got Baker Mayfield, they had all of the resources to throw at this thing all in one go and get a ton of weapons to surround him with, whether it's trades with Odell Beckham coming over, whether it's draft capital. They've done a lot to improve this situation. And, you know, that combination of Baker Mayfield to Odell Beckham could be absolutely scintillating. You look at what Beckham's done with Eli Manning throwing him the ball, and, you know, Manning has been graded somewhere in the low 20s at PFF for a number of years now. You replace that with what Baker Mayfield is capable of doing, suddenly becomes one of the more accurate quarterbacks throwing him the ball. Beckham's numbers could be mind-blowing this year.
Absolutely, and you look at specifically Baker Mayfield's accuracy at the intermediate and deep levels of the field where OBJ thrives. He's going to be getting the ball with so much better ball placement than what he's had with Eli Manning. A superstar year for Odell Beckham Jr. in 2019 is expected, but something that we have mentioned in recent videos is the Cleveland Browns offensive line. Definitely a weakness for this team, but is it too big of a weakness to kind of overcome the expectations that there are for this team?
Yeah, I think that's a big question mark, is how big a blow to that offensive line has happened this offseason when they elected essentially to trade away Kevin Zeitler as part of the deal to bring over more talented, more impactful players. It's not that it's without risk. You know, you can't just keep losing talented offensive linemen as much as they don't make as big a difference as receivers, as pass rushers, as quarterbacks do. So we're going to see what kind of impact it has. They have had a really impressive offensive line outside of a couple of spots. Now they're eroding at it a little bit. They should be good at center with J.C. Tretter, left guard Joe Bitonio, again solid. The question is going to be how much can Austin Corbett step up at right guard. He was a player we liked in college. I thought he was a good center prospect going forward. Not sure how it's going to translate to guard or tackle if they end up moving him out there either. But, you know, we'll see. He's the big question mark there. And then they still really don't have an answer at tackle. I think Chris Hubbard can be okay at right tackle, but they still have Greg Robinson starting at left tackle, and anytime that's the case, you've got at least one problem on your offensive line.
Fortunately, Baker Mayfield's good at creating and extending plays. He'll help that offensive line a little bit, but it will be a problem. I don't see it as a strength for this team. A strength that will be for this team is the pass rush. Someone they traded Kevin Zeitler for Olivier Vernon, adding him with Myles Garrett. You have Sheldon Richardson added in free agency. You have Larry Ogunjobi. We put this pass rush unit in the top 10 in the NFL in an article we have coming out for PFF.com. We really like this pass rush in 2019.
Yeah, that front four, it looks to be a really formidable unit. Sheldon Richardson is a player who kind of underwhelms a little bit because I think his potential is higher than he consistently shows, and you always get a few games each season where you see the true 90-plus PFF grade dominant Sheldon Richardson show up, and then he kind of backs off again. You get him coasting a little bit and, you know, a bit of complacent play throughout the year, and I think that frustrates coaches. But you bring over a guy that even with that 80% of his potential, he's still bringing 50-plus total pressures over the season. He is a really solid member of that offense or of that defensive line that can add pressure along with a Myles Garrett. Garrett himself is worth talking about because, you know, he's on the precipice of becoming one of the greatest edge rushers in the NFL. And according to him, he was only allowed to use two pass rush moves last season with Greg Williams as his defensive coordinator. Now you sort of free him, you let him do whatever he wants. And then Olivier Vernon is going from maybe the hardest pass rushing job in the NFL, i.e. going up against the NFC East left tackles, going to the other side against AFC North right tackles. That is a dramatically easier task for him. And he's got Myles Garrett on the other side, so we should see an uptick in Vernon's production as well.
And the Browns are going to need that great pass rush. Garrett, Richardson are going to have to get the job done. And because though we love what they have at corner, Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, they're in a scheme that doesn't necessarily fit their skill set.
Yeah, one, they're young players, so it's kind of volatile situation. They could improve, they could have a bad year, you know, growing pains. But the other aspect, as you say, is do they fit this system that Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinators, bring in? In theory, more of a zone-heavy system that they've been running the past couple of seasons. We really like Greedy Williams coming out, but as more of a man cover corner. I think inserting him into a zone-heavy scheme would be a bit of a question mark, a concern. And then Denzel Ward as well, I think, is more suited to a man cover scheme, though I think better suited to match up with a zone one if that's what they go for. So there's a lot of talent in that secondary, but you have to have concerns until we see it on the field just how well it's going to mesh with the system that they're going to be running.
And Denzel Ward coming out of Ohio State, Greedy Williams out of LSU, both teams running a lot of press man, a lot of man at the line of scrimmage. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to Steve Wilks' scheme. They'll have a good pass rush, so we'll see. For more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to PFF's YouTube channel, or go ahead and go to the site at pff.com.